Whoops. Hey, what's up? This should be working. Sorry, I have a light usually. There we go, that's a lot better. What's up, guys? Dr. Jaws here, and tonight we are covering the humans whaler shark. So, which is really cool. This is going to be a brand new species. Never ever heard of this species before. We had that suggestion last week. So I'm really excited because it's one of the, we were going through that list of sharks in the years that they were discovered. And this was the species that came up, humans whaler shark. So it's a small Carcharhinus. Hey Bibia, hey Howard, welcome back. Bibia making coffee and charging my phone. Be watching but cannot chat for a few. No worries. Howard, good evening. Glad to have you back. We all missed you last week, so really glad to see you back. There was a lot of great comments just about your art and just how you're a staple with the community. So welcome back. Glad to have you back. And I'm really excited to talk about tonight's species. So this is a smaller kind of Carcharhinus. And what's really cool is that there's kind of like these two groups of Carcharhinus sharks. There's, hey Bruce, welcome back. There's two kinds of Carcharhinus sharks. There's kind of like the classic. I feel like there's like, okay, there's actually I feel like generally there's two kinds. There's the classic large Carcharhinus sharks. So these are the bull sharks, the sandbar sharks, the black tip sharks, dusky sharks, silky sharks. These are all like, you know, the classics that we're pretty familiar with. But then there's this other group of Carcharhinus sharks that are a lot smaller and a lot less well known. And some of the rarest sharks in the world, including the lost shark, Carcharhinus obsoletus or obsoleus, and then the Pondicherry shark, and I forget the scientific name for that species. There's these like small, they're still the same genus, but they're these like small Carcharhinus sharks that are kind of rarer, smaller, and I think they're actually more concentrated in the Indo-Pacific. I guess you could count Carcharhinus melanopterus, the black tip reef shark, potentially in that group. You can maybe count the black nose shark in that group. And I think there's a black spot shark, which this species is kind of confused with typically. But finally, there's this one, humans whaler shark, Carcharhinus humani, which was discovered in 2014. So we'll dive into what makes this shark a entirely new species and kind of how we discovered it, and we'll check it out. But first, I think it's fun to kind of look at shark footage and look at different kinds of Carcharhinus to kind of familiarize ourselves with the genus. So starting with black tip sharks. So this is kind of like a classic larger Carcharhinus kind of shark. And I feel like the best way to describe Carcharhinus and Carcharhinidae is these are just like the sharky sharks, like the classic ones that you think of, like the archetypical sharks, I guess is the right way to say it. These are the classic ones that you think of when you think of the image shark. It's like, it's either a great white or this. You know, just like the generic pointed, long, large dorsal fins and pectoral fins. You know, kind of like large predators, big mouths, kind of like, you know, a little scary in their appearance, just like the classic image that you see, like, you know, as like, you know, like plastic toys or like art motifs or whatever, or tattoos or something. Like, it's just like, this is it. This is your typical idea of a shark. And I feel like Carcharhinus is like, you know, Carcharhinus and great whites they're everybody's like introduction to sharks, if you will. So it's kind of cool to see like larger cousins of humans whaler shark. What's kind of cool is that the term whaler sharks, we talked about this last week too, but whaler sharks refer to the larger members of this genus. You know, I think the name does come from the idea that they hunt whales. We know that dusky sharks do hunt together in like a school or a shiver of sharks. They do hunt together in groups to take down whales, and that's a very uncommon thing for sharks to do. But dusky sharks do it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, bronze whalers maybe do this too. That's Carcharhinus brachyurus. So black tip sharks don't do that, as far as I know. These are more like fish eaters. But anyway, the term whaler shark kind of, I think that comes from that. It also might be coming from the idea that actual whalers, like human whalers, may have seen sharks like this kind of on their own, voyages. So that might be where the term comes from, but I do think it originally comes from the fact that some of these species actually do go after whales in groups. So Human's whaler shark, tonight species, is definitely too small to go after cetaceans, but definitely could be a pretty effective fish eater. So I'm excited to learn more about its diet. But anyway, hope everybody had a good weekend. Just as a warning, it is storming really, really badly over here. So if we lose power, just as a heads up, if you see a sudden blackout, that's why. But overall, I think we're going to be okay for the rest of the night. I think the worst of it is over, but I was just driving through it. I was like, wow, I've never seen this since... I used to live in Florida briefly, and I just have never seen weather like this since Florida, so it was pretty wild. But hope everybody had a good weekend, though. One really cool thing, a little clip I want to take a look at, is this behavior, spinner sharks breaching, which is really exciting. It's amazing to see how they can... this is a cousin of blacktip shark. This is Carcharhinus brevipinna, I think is the spinner shark. But these sharks are known to leap out of the water, and as their namesake goes, they spin really, really rapidly. But they do it in like such an amazing way, where it's like they do like you can't even say it's a 360. It's like a 720 or like a 1440. You know, it's like they do like so many spins, and it's such a beautiful sight to see. So there's a couple theories about why they do this. So some scientists speculate that it's to get rid of parasites. Some speculate that it might be kind of like a weird social behavior, like maybe even a courtship behavior. Or it could be that these sharks are overstimulated and maybe do that. It could be hunting too, like it could be like a breach attack, or they could be overstimulated and kind of doing this out of excitement. There's other kinds of shark species, I believe bull sharks do this, where they will leap out of the water and do some kind of spin when they're around power plants, like the unnaturally warm waters surrounding power plants is something that they do. So, but yeah, so really cool behavior to see. So this is kind of like a more of a small to mid-sized Carcharhinus. So blacktip sharks are mid-sized Carcharhinus. This is kind of small to mid-sized, and then finally Human's whaler shark is going to be smaller. So, by the way, I am enjoying a glass of water, and I'm starting to get into seltzer water a little bit. I know that if I said once if I ever drink anything soda related, like I can't, and if I ever did, it's a sign that it's AI Dr. Jaw is taking over, but I promise it's not, and I'm not advertising or shilling what this is. It's a newfound acquired taste, so I'm kind of enjoying them. My fiance likes seltzers, and I haven't really gone into them until now, because usually I don't like the carbonation, but it's a little bit lighter. So anyway, Human's whaler shark, Carcharhinus humanity, discovered by White and Wyman in 2014. This is tonight species, and we'll dive in. This, I think, is going to be the photo of the type specimen. So here we go. We'll zoom in so everybody can see. Brand new species of shark. There's a couple of really interesting things that you can immediately identify that are kind of unique to this species. So one, it's kind of cool to see that the head is a little bit more. It kind of reminds me more of a like a smooth hound. It kind of has that triangular shape, and kind of like that flat, or kind of like more flat lower, like underside of the jaw is a little bit more flush with the bottom, so that looks really cool. The eyes are a little bit larger. The fin, the first dorsal fin, even though this is a damaged specimen, the first dorsal fin kind of has a unique shape, where it's a little bit more pronounced of a curve. The base is a bit wider, but the curve is actually like a little bit more pronounced, which is pretty interesting. Obviously, there's this beautiful black spot on the second dorsal fin that's actually pretty conspicuous. So it's really cool to see that Carcharhinus as a genus, these sharks have black tips in different, in different fins depending on the species. So Black tip sharks have black tips on their pectoral fins. Spinner sharks have black tips on their pectoral fins and anal fin. Bull sharks can have dusky tips when they're pups, and then they get bigger and those fade. The black tip reef shark famously has these beautiful, like, it's almost like you dip it in black ink, like black tips on both dorsal fins. The white tip reef shark has white tips. The oceanic white tip has these really cool, like, white rustic paint almost white tips. And then there's like the silver tip shark, which is really, really beautiful, like pale silver to white tips. So it's really cool to see yet another Carcharhinus with a unique fin coloration. The second dorsal fin has a beautiful black mark. So yeah. But let's see. So this is the range, which is the Western Indian Ocean. So east coast of Africa, Madagascar. It looks like somewhere the west coast of India as well. So there we go. That's a better view of the range map for the species. So actually pretty extensive. So it's not really an endemic species to one particular ecoregion, but it actually might be covering quite a large range. So I wonder if we can get the IUCN Red List profile on the species. It's new, so sometimes I think IUCN Red List has almost every single shark. Sometimes for the new ones they don't have it, but let's see. Alright, they do have it, but this is actually really cool. This is one of the rare examples where we've seen a data deficient species. So, and then here we go. This IUCN Red List is actually restricting its range to the east coast of Africa. So Tanzania, let's see what this is, Mozambique, and a little bit of South Africa. So pretty interesting. A little bit of Kenya too. So, but yeah, this is a brand new species. It's not often that we see data deficient sharks. Sand devils used to be data deficient. They were recently redescribed as least concern. So it's pretty exciting to see a brand new species that we actually don't know much about. So let's check out the... Oh, this is pretty interesting. So Human's whaler shark is very shallow water. Lives 0 to 43 meters, so that's extremely shallow as far as a shark is concerned. And one last thing I forgot to point out for this individual is you can immediately notice the very large claspers relative to the pectoral fin. So this is kind of like a rough rule of thumb, if you will. If the claspers extend beyond, or sorry, not pectoral, pelvic fin, sorry. If the claspers extend in male sharks beyond the pelvic fin, it's a sign that they are sexually mature. If the claspers are around the same size as the pelvic fin, it usually means it's an immature individual. But if they extend beyond it, it's a sexually mature individual. And it's kind of interesting to notice that, given the stature of the species, where you can kind of eyeball this and tell that this is actually a smaller shark, like a smaller individual. So it suggests that mature humans whaler sharks are kind of overall like a small species. So it's pretty interesting to see that. Checking fish base. Maximum length is 84 centimeters. So let's convert that to feet. Centimeters to feet. Also, anybody do anything fun for the weekend? Please let me know in the comments. I actually went snorkeling for the first time this year. I didn't see anything too exciting. I went to a seagrass meadow in Hampton, Virginia. So the visibility is not super great. But, you know, got to see some clams, some quahogs, a couple of fish here and there. Nothing too exciting. I did see a cow-nose ray, a deceased cow-nose ray that actually was a pretty large individual, but sadly expired. But, you know, overall kind of a quiet day, but fun trip. So, and then I think I mentioned I'm planning a dive in New Jersey in June. So I'm excited that the weather is warm enough finally where it's ocean related activities are kind of coming down the way. So So 84 centimeters, about 3 feet. So, kind of small shark, not tiny, but smaller shark. Distribution: Western Indian Ocean from Kuwait and the Persian Gulf to Socotra Islands, south to Mozambique and South Africa. Let's see. Just as kind of a fun fact, Carcharhinus comes from the Greek. Carcharhinus, which means sharp, and Rhinus, which is they say it's an ancient name for sharks from Rhine. Both words alluding to the shark's jagged brass skin. However, I also think Rhinus is related to rhinos, which is a word for nose. So I've always interpreted Rhinus means sharp nose. Kind of like in English, there is a group of sharks called sharp nose sharks. But could be wrong as far as the actual root. But I've always interpreted it as sharp nose. The species name humani is in honor of late Brett A. Human, Australian marine biologist, Western Australian Museum, for important contributions to shark taxonomy in South Africa and Oman in the Western Indian Ocean region, who is sorely missed by his colleagues. So that's actually really, really cool that this is kind of one of the rare occasions where I think it's okay. Typically, actually, well, I was about to say I think it's okay to name a species in honor of someone, but typically that's a practice that's frowned upon because the idea of a species name should be descriptive. Oh, sorry about that. Audio is fuzzy. Let me see if I can switch the music a little bit to something a little bit more chill. And that might kind of help with the audio a little bit. Let's see. Sorry about that. Okay, that might work. Sorry about that. And let me know if it improves at all. Because I think this also might be slightly related to the weather, so we'll see. But oh, good, awesome, audio good. Thank you, Howard. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, but let's see. Short description: this species is distinguished by the following characters: moderately long and narrowly rounded snout. And I won't read all of this. I'll just kind of summarize it. The upper anterior teeth are oblique and blade-like, coarsely serrated. That's actually pretty interesting. Let's see if we can get a view of the teeth. Shoot, we can't. This is, I'm just hopping over to Shark References, which typically does have jaw sets. This does have a pretty fresh individual of the human whaler shark, so you can actually kind of get an idea of its coloration in life. It's a really beautiful animal. It's actually like kind of like you can see the large eyes relative to the head size, but you can also see kind of like these softer features. It kind of looks a little adorable in a weird way. It kind of has more of a pronounced cheek, kind of like more of like a stubby, blunt snout. So it's actually really cool to see this in life. Now, for a shallow water shark, I do think it's interesting that it has large eyes, and I'm curious why it has such large eyes relative to its body size living in shallow water. I wonder what advantage that would serve, because typically sharks that live in murky environments tend to have smaller eyes because they don't really rely on their eyes as much. So bull sharks have small eyes, the river sharks have small eyes. So I'm kind of curious why this species has larger eyes if it lives in shallow water. So it's a shame we can't see teeth sets, but we'll keep an eye out. Here's a nice view of a fresher individual. And actually pretty large dorsal fin relative to the body size too. Beautiful shape, kind of like more of a more pronounced interior curve with a straight flat edge, which is kind of cool. And then there's that beautiful black tip, on the second dorsal fin. So pretty large, pretty pronounced. So really gorgeous looking shark with some pretty interesting features. So we'll go back to fish base to see if there's anything here. So it says that the teeth are oblique and blade-like, and they're coarsely serrated, which is kind of interesting because when you think of coarsely serrated teeth, you do think of great whites or bull sharks or tiger sharks, which typically handle large prey. So it's kind of cool to see a small shark with serrated teeth or coarsely serrated teeth. That's kind of like almost the snaggletooth sharks, if you will. Kind of similarly like that a little bit. So, you know, although that's more of, I guess, a mid-sized shark. So. Let's see what else we have. It has an interdorsal ridge. So that's actually a great feature to tell different Carcharhinus apart. And we've talked about it before, but between the two dorsal fins, some Carcharhinus sharks have a ridge, like a ridge of larger dermal denticles that makes like a distinct ridge on their back, and then some of them don't have it, and they have like a smooth back, and it's a really cool way to, you know, help classify sharks that are typically very hard to separate. So it's kind of cool to see that the human's whaler shark does have an interdorsal ridge. So let's see what else we have. Second dorsal fin for black blotch on upper 1 or 2/3 of fin. That's really it as far as descriptions that are unique. So, we'll hop over to IUCN Red List because I do want to know what's going on with this species. So here we go. Human's whaler shark is a small inshore shark that is patchily distributed in the western Indian Ocean in waters to at least 43 meters depth, although it likely occurs in both inshore and offshore waters. It is poorly known and has likely been widely misidentified with the white cheek shark, Carcharhinus dusumieri. Sorry. Let's see. Carcharhinus dusumieri. Let's see some images of the white cheek shark if we can get them. Okay, so you can actually see why they get confused. So this is Carcharhinus dusumieri, the white cheek shark, and look at that. It also has a dark spot on its second dorsal fin. But there's a couple subtleties that make it a little bit different from the human's whaler shark. So the dorsal fin shape, the first dorsal fin shape is a little bit different. This shark's features are a little bit sharper looking, but it's still, this would be very hard to tell apart from human's whaler shark. So it's kind of cool to see, you know, how closely this resembles this guy. I mean, that's really hard to tell apart, actually. So interesting. Oh, this is a live photo. So it's really nice to see an actual living specimen of the human whaler shark. So really cool to see that this shark is near a baited remote underwater video survey. So these are actually really cool. This little pipe here with this little white ring. This tells me that this is one of those beta remote underwater video surveys, BRUVs. These are really great because they're non-invasive. They're kind of like these like camera traps, if you will, like trail cam traps, except for sea creatures, where you leave them out for a while and you can actually make your own at home of like PVC pipe and a GoPro. I've tried to do it. I've not been successful at doing it, but anyway, but what these do is that you can leave them in the marine environment, leave the environment, and you know, you're not like a diver with all these bubbles and all this noise. Like it's actually, you know, it's more attractive for sharks, and you actually can catch a lot more on camera because they feel like there's no human there, there's no presence there. It's easier for them to swim by. So it's really cool to see a human's whaler shark actually be near one of these arrays, and you can actually see the animal in life. So you can still see the large eye, as well as, like, you know, the really cute like cheek, the snout, which is kind of like smooth. The black second dorsal fin, you can barely tell it's right there, but it is there. So let me zoom in on it to see if we can get a better view. Yeah, that's really cool. So really great shot of this animal, actually. So it's really cool to see some of the features here. Just a beautiful curve. I actually like in this photograph, you can see the lateral line. This is the pressure sensing feature that all fish have. So it's really cool to see it so pronounced on this individual. So let's see. I wish I could get the original video of this. I couldn't find it, but we'll see on this post. Humans whaler shark. This is the most commonly cited species on our BRUV deployments, even though it is currently listed as data deficient by the IUCN. This species was only redescribed in 2014 after it was commonly mistaken for the black spot shark, Carcharhinus ceelii. So this is interesting. It's mistaken for two species, the black spot shark and the white cheek shark. Let's check out this one, Carcharhinus ceelii. Okay, so this is pretty cool. This is yet another shark with a black tip on its second dorsal fin. So there's 3 sharks. There we go, zooming in on this so you can see. Yep, there's 3 sharks with a black tip on its second dorsal fin. So this actually is a huge conservation challenge because it's already difficult. If you had sharks that are easy to identify, it's already difficult to tell them apart, or sorry, like it's already difficult to communicate their needs to like fishermen and stuff. But to see that there's 3 very closely related sharks where there's only subtleties that separate them, if their ranges overlap, this actually really creates a big problem where it's like, how do you manage all 3 of them? On that note, let's check out how the other 2 are doing conservation-wise. So here we go, Carcharhinus. We'll do ceelii, the black spot shark. So this species is vulnerable, and it doesn't really overlap in distribution, which is good. So it's kind of interesting that it gets confused with humans whaler shark. But let's see. Black spot shark is taken, retained, and bycatch. There's an inferred population reduction of 44%. This level of decline is not species specific, but is informative for understanding the broader levels of decline of sharks in the region. The relatively short generation length may provide the black spot shark with some resilience to fishing pressure. However, there are signs of declines and potential disappearance in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and eastern Indonesia. So this one is vulnerable. So not the worst, but still not good. Let's check out the other one, Carcharhinus dusomeri. The white cheek shark. This one is endangered, and this is actually a little bit more serious, actually a lot more serious. This is in the same range as humans whaler shark, so these 2 species could be confused. Let's see, white cheek shark is common in inshore waters at depths of 100 meters, particularly susceptible to inshore fisheries. It's caught in trawling, artisanal fishing. It has relatively low reproductive capacity, making it particularly susceptible to overexploitation. It's the dominant species landed in the Arabian-Persian Gulf. However, off Pakistan and India, where it used to be common, there's evidence of declines exceeding 50 to 70% over the last 15 years, with recent surveys in India and Sri Lanka failing to report the species. It is suspected that localized extinctions have likely occurred in Indian waters due to high levels of fishing pressure. The ongoing intensification of fisheries across its range, combined with reported declines of sharks in the region in general, led to a suspected population decline of at least 50 to 70% over the past 3 generation lengths. As such, it's assessed as endangered. So that's actually really scary. So white cheek shark is endangered. Even though we don't know exactly what's going on with the humans whaler shark, we can assume or kind of speculate that it probably... I I guess the range in Africa kind of gives me pause because this might be a little bit better than what's going on up here with the white cheek shark, but still, I don't know. It might be good to be a bit cautious in terms of like, you know what, the white cheek shark, which is similar and lives in a similar depth range, it's endangered, and this species may very well be endangered as well. So we'll keep reading, but kind of scary as far as like what might be going on with this new shark species. So see if Shark References has any new notes on the Humans Whaler shark. The original description, so nothing really new. I think it's copy and pasted from Fishbase, or vice versa. The photographs again are really cool. But I think we'll keep going, and I think we'll dive into research. So, starting with this one, it's kind of not often that we get to see some pieces of research that focus on a new and rare species of shark. But this one is really cool. This is Biology and Ecology of the African Black Spot Shark. So I guess it's another name for the Humans Whaler shark, Carcharhinus humani, on the east coast of southern Africa. Whoop, sorry. Okay, the African black spot shark, Carcharhinus humani, until now commonly known as Humans Whaler shark, is a small-sized requiem shark found in tropical coastal waters of the western Indian Ocean as far south as Port St. John's on the east coast of South Africa. It was only recently recognized as being distinct from the black spot shark, Carcharhinus ceelii, which occurs elsewhere in the Indo-Pacific. This study utilized 4 datasets to investigate the movements, temporal, and geographic distributions, life history, and population status of this species in South African waters. The recapture of 8 individuals of 294 that were tagged by shore anglers revealed an average distance move of 33 kilometers. Range is 1 to 192 kilometers. So that's actually pretty large. Let's convert that to miles. Also, did anybody do anything fun for May the 4th? Just out of curiosity. I don't know if there's any... I think we have a few Star Wars fans in the community, but just out of curiosity. We just watched goofy videos that were Star Wars adjacent, but we didn't watch a film, a show, and there's so much of them now. I've heard Andor is really good, but I haven't seen it yet. So, kilometers to miles. So, actually a pretty large range. So the maximum range is 119 miles. So 192 kilometers, 119 miles. The average distance is about 21 miles. So pretty large range, really. As far as distance traveled for a small shark. So, let's see. Competitive shore anglers caught an average of 39 Carcharhinus humani per annum along the entire KwaZulu-Natal coast, with no marked trend in catch rate over time. Catches in the KwaZulu-Natal Bather Protection Program were extremely low, but included 30 pregnant females, which displayed a highly seasonal pattern of embryo development. Sightings of Carcharhinus humani on Stereo-Beta remote underwater video systems in the Isimangaliso Marine Protected Area were dominated by females, 7.7 to 1, wow, and were mostly in deeper water of 26 to 35 meters. In all datasets, most of the individuals were mature and were present year-round, but with a clear peak in summer and autumn, especially in the catches taken by shore anglers. Competitive shore angling catch data were used to conduct risk assessment for the South African population, and based on values of probability of encounter, the sample population satisfies the IUCN Red List criteria for least concern. Okay, so that's actually really cool. Look at that. So this is a study on the same species. This is by Ng Boyens, R. Daly, G.L. Jordan, and Nakabi, and D. Parker, and G. Cliff. And can we get to the whole thing? I wonder if we can, actually. And it took this shark that was deemed like data deficient by the IUCN Red List and saying this actually might be least concern based on what we've seen in South Africa. It actually might be doing okay, which is really cool. Let's see if we can we read this? I hope we can get the full article. This might be not possible. Yeah, unfortunately, there's a paywall, unfortunately. But still, that's actually really exciting. I wonder if we can get more information on this place. Isimangaliso Marine Protected Area. Kind of would like to learn more about it. And I wonder if that's related to that Instagram post that we just saw. Oops. Where is this? Okay, the Isimangaliso Marine Protected Area is a significant marine conservation area in South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province, extending from Mozambique border to Cape St. Lucia. It encompasses a wide range of marine and coastal ecosystems, including coral reefs, sandy beaches, and wetlands, and supports a diverse array of marine life. The MPA is also crucial habitat for various threatened species, including whale sharks and leatherback turtles. Wow. Okay, let's see what we can find here. Reload. Okay, that's not working. Okay. I wonder if we can get like any images. Okay, here we go. So this is the marine protected area, which looks pretty massive. Let's see. I'm trying to find like images. But I do think this came from the same area. Let's double check. Because this was a BRUV. This is it. Okay. So this photograph is actually from the same area, from the same study that said this shark is actually least concern. Which is super cool. It's not often that we see this for a data deficient species, like a species that we don't know much about. So that's actually really cool to see. So, yeah. Isimangaliso. Here we go. Isimangaliso Wetland Park. So I don't know if this is the same particular area, but it actually might be. This is really cool. Okay, this actually might be. Here we go. 10 Jewels. Coastal Forests, Eastern Shore and Cape Vidal, False Bay, Kosi Bay. This is really cool. Wow. Okay, let's check out Kosi Bay. Let's kind of see. I wonder if we can learn more about like marine environments. Beautiful landscape. Wow, this is really cool. I don't know if this is like the territorial arm of the area. Sorry, the terrestrial arm of the area. Let's see. Walking towards Kosi Bay. Beautiful shot of that looks like a green sea turtle. So just napping on the beach. Really pretty. Okay. I wonder if it can show some, I really wonder if it could show some underwater, because I would love to see coral reefs from Isimangaliso. There we go. Very beautiful. Let's see if YouTube can have any footage from this, because this is just extremely cool. That this is a protected area that seems to actually provide a haven for this shark. So let's see. Okay, there you go. Alright, so these are sea pen fields from Semengaliso. So this is the same marine protected area that we're actually seeing a potentially least concerned population of the Human's whaler shark. So again, I'm really pleasantly surprised. It's really cool to see sea pens again. We talked about them a couple episodes ago. And it's actually kind of amazing to see a sea pen habitat. Like, I've never heard of a sea pen field. I talked about how I went over to Hampton last weekend to go through a seagrass meadow, but I've never heard of a sea pen field. So it's actually really cool to see. Some little fish darting here and there. That looks like a lizardfish in that frame, so pretty cool to see. The water is really clear. It's a little ghostly, a little eerie in this area, just like the sandy plain with, these are not plants, these are animals, these are kind of cnidarian, so a cousin of corals and jellyfish. So very eerie, but I really like it. And this is the home of the Human's whaler shark, so this is an area that the Human's whaler shark might frequent, which is pretty cool. I'm going to kind of fast forward to see if there's any fish or kind of like large animals. I'm very curious. Well, actually, I think a couple things start here and there. But very eerie. I love different kinds of marine environments I've never heard of before. Oh, that looks like a blenny, and he just disappeared. He just buried himself in the sand, so that might have been a blenny or a tilefish. But anyway, again, it's really cool to see like habitats that are brand new, like never heard of this before, and I've certainly never heard of a sea pen field before. I didn't even realize, and you have to wonder like what kind of community is this in terms of, this would be a community that would probably do well without sunlight, because sea pens are not photosynthetic; they're animals. So it's probably a community that has a lot of plankton in the area, like a lot of nutrients, a lot of edible food that is just kind of floating in the water for the sea pens to grab. This is really cool to see. This is two different species of sea pen in the same frame, unless that's a kind of worm. It's a really eerie but cool environment. So, all right, we'll hop over to see if there's more that we can learn about this marine reserve. Okay, there we go. So same area, and then we'll keep doing research. But this is really cool. So this is still Semengaliso Wetland Park, and this is fantastic. That's a manta ray. There was a triggerfish in the first shot, moray eel, hiding under one of the coral reefs that they mentioned. So again, this is all habitat for the Human's whaler shark. Gorgeous ray. I think it's a blue spot stingray, but can't quite tell. That's also a grouper. There's two stingrays that look very similar to this, and I forget what the other one is called. Lovely little octopus. What an amazing habitat. Oh, that's really cool. Trumpet fish. That's actually fun to see. A trumpet fish, a fun tropical kind of fish. And it's actually really cool to see. Oh, a nudibranch right there. So this is a gorgeous looking kind of sea slug or nudibranch. These are beautiful feathery gills on its back. Another green sea turtle. So we saw the photograph of one earlier, but this is nice to see one in motion. Green sea turtles. Oh, that looks like a mantis shrimp. So these guys can pack a powerful punch. They actually are not an animal to mess with. These look like dories. Powder blue tang. Sorry, powder blue tang. There is a fish that's called a dory, but I got confused with Finding Nemo. Sorry, these are powder blue tangs, which dory is based off of. This is another nudibranch. So the Human's whaler shark lives in a very colorful world. So this part of southern Africa is just amazing. A couple other octopuses here, just kind of chilling. It's actually really cool to see two octopuses. This actually might be mating. Let me go back here. I was about to say socializing, but what's kind of interesting is you can see one tentacle from this individual into this individual. I actually forget how mollusks mate, as far as like, and how cephalopods in particular mate. I actually forget how that works, and this might be that, because I think the male can pass something to the female via the tentacles, but I actually forget. So if anybody knows in the chat, please let me know. But that might be what's going on. It's such an interesting sight to see two octopuses so close to each other. So I'm not sure what these fish are. I know there's tropical Atlantic cousins to these, and I'm not 100% sure what those are. This one is completely unique. This almost looks like a batfish, and I have no idea what this is, but amazing. It almost looks like a sea robin too. Like this, really cool wildlife here. This is a kind of crab. I don't know what. I want to say it's like a kind of porcelain crab, but I don't think that's correct. So look at that. That's actually really cool. I do want to kind of like highlight this crab's behavior really quickly. So what you can see here, he's got these pincers that are adapted for what most crabs do, which is like chewing their food, or like tearing off pieces of food and putting them to their mandibles. But this crab also has these like filter feeding mechanisms to catch. I'll zoom that, or I'll slow that down so you can get a better look. It's really cool. So it's actually really cool to see a crab that is a filter feeder. So this is almost like, think of like a barnacle, where it's like catching any like kind of floating plankton. So that's amazing. This is a spider crab of some sort. We actually have spider crabs in North America and the Bay as well. So, but ours are a bit bigger. There's some huge ones, I think, in Japan. This is cool. This is a different kind of sea turtle. This is a hawksbill sea turtle. This one is actually, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit rarer. Really, really gorgeous animal. More of these weird fish. I have no idea what these are, actually. Like these batfish sea robin-y things. I'm not 100% sure what these are. So a lot of incredible wildlife in this habitat. Again, a lovely giant manta. So this is a global animal. This is a species that could be found in all the world's oceans. It's kind of like a whale shark. Whale sharks are like that as well. So giant filter feeders, and that's it. So really cool snapshot of what this environment is like for the human's whaler shark. So really a lot of cool stuff here. So all right, we'll keep on learning more about this species. I think there was one article that had a lot of mentions of it. It might be this one. I just want to double check just to make sure I got all my research in order. I guess we'll dive into this one. So, a lazarbank assemblage structure on protected high-latitude coral reefs in Southeast Africa. This is by Sarah Martinez, Anthony T.F. Bernard, Conrad W. Speed, Bruce Q. Mann, Jennifer M. Olbers, Jade Q. Maggs, Camilla Floros, Mark G. Meekin, and Arthur Young. High-latitude coral reefs, HLCRs, and that's actually, I've never heard of that before, because you think of coral reefs as completely tropical, and what's kind of cool about that is where I live, we do have a kind of shallow water coral, which is a whip coral, also known as a sea whip. And let me see if I can pull a picture of one. So, whip coral. They're pretty common, and you find them on the beach. That's basically it. So, but they don't make reefs. These are just kind of independent corals that. Let's do Chesapeake Bay sea whip. There we go. That's kind of more akin to what I see on the beach. So they could be purple, yellow, and I think their color actually changes with salinity, but they're pretty commonly found over here. And this is definitely a temperate zone, so it's actually pretty interesting to think of like an entire reef system, like high latitude coral reefs, also like in temperate zones. It's really interesting. So anyway, high latitude coral reefs, HLCRs, are unique ecosystems with diverse ecological assemblages, including many low latitude species on their distribution margins. These ecosystems are threatened by fisheries exploitation, habitat destruction, and climate change. However, relative to low latitude coral reef ecosystems, our understanding of their structure and functioning is limited. This is particularly true for sharks and rays. In this study, we used baited remote underwater stereo video systems to determine the effect of habitat and management on the assemblage structure of elastobrigs on the HLCRs of southern Africa. And this is the same area, the Simangaliso Marine Protected Area, South Africa, and the adjoining Ponta do Ouro Partial Marine Reserve, Mozambique. We recorded a total of 12 species of shark, 142 individuals, and 9 species of ray, 40 individuals, over 2 brief time frames, November 2016 and June 2017. All species were tropical, with many of the southern limit of their known distributions. Sharks increased in diversity with depth and showed a preference for the reef and mosaic habitats relative to sand. The occurrence of rays was predominantly influenced by the presence of low relief habitats. These findings highlight the need for MPAs to encompass both sand and reef habitats over broad depth ranges to effectively protect elasmobranch assemblages. So that's actually really cool, and I never thought about that if you want an effective marine protected area, it's not just designating the coral reef, but it's also the surrounding buffer zone, if you will, of sand, because sharks and rays utilize both habitats. If you just protected one or the other, you wouldn't get like the full package, if you will, like the full effect, or the full benefit of what the sharks and rays actually need. So that's really cool. We found evidence to support the high average abundance and diversity of sharks and rays within MPAs of South Africa and southern Mozambique. The results highlight the importance of marginal HLCRs, particularly those within MPAs, for the management and conservation of tropical elasmobranch species. So that's really, really cool. Just some comments. Just want to catch up. Thank you, Bibia. Okay, awesome. So yes, octopus has one of his arms to put his sperm in the female. Described it as a male octopus grabs something from his package and put it in her pocket. Interesting. So thank you for clarifying that, because that really I remember we learned that, but it's been so long. Like it's like marine biology 101. And I focus on sharks and other vertebrates so much that I kind of forgot the mechanism. So thank you. I really appreciate clarifying that. In that clip where we saw the octopus. The 2 octopuses together, and the male, I guess, with his arm underneath the female, that's how they mate. So that's really cool. Thank you. And yes, Howard, I know we talked as well about, I'm glad your computer is better, but yeah, we missed you last week, so glad that the computer was fixed. So sorry about that. That's the worst when that happens. Just it's kind of funny, I have this is actually kind of wild. I had a computer in college that was like a Lenovo or something. I think it was a Lenovo, and it just was on the fritz in a year, and it was terrible. And then I got a Mac, and that thing has been with me for over a decade. So I know people have different thoughts between PCs and Macs, and I've had Lenovo's since then that have been really good, but the Mac that I have has been running really strong. So I really appreciate that it's been basically a decade with that computer. So but point being, in college, the Lenovo I had crashed on me, and what you were describing, Howard, just reminded me of that. It's the worst feeling. So I'm sorry that happened, but I'm really glad it got fixed. So we're glad to have you back. So I'm just going to skim through the introduction, see if there's any cool tidbits from this article. Let's see. I do like this. The global drive for improved management of Lazarbranchs is underpinned by a solid understanding of their ecology. While significant progress has been made over the past decade, substantial gaps remain in our understanding of the ecological dynamics of Lazarbranchs on reefs. Let's see. Reef-associated sharks and rays can be broadly classified as apex species like tiger sharks. There's actually a really cool phenomenon related to that. They may mention this, but there was a really cool reef study about if you remove tiger sharks from reefs or large apex predators like tiger sharks from reefs, there's like a vacancy there. Like their niche is open, and the next level predators, like the mid-sized sharks or the small sharks, actually fill that niche, and they actually do really well when tiger sharks are gone. So overall, it's not good for the ecosystem because the more facets you have of your ecosystem, the better off it is. Like the more resilient it is to change, the richer it is. So it's not good that you have tiger sharks removed from the reef, but it is really interesting that when they're gone, it's kind of like a power vacuum in a weird way. That's a bad analogy, but it's like when they're gone, smaller sharks come in. So it's pretty interesting to see that. They may mention that, but reef-associated sharks and rays can be classified as the apex predators like tiger sharks, which are large-bodied, wide-ranging, over 1,000 kilometers, occupy the highest trophic level, and influence the structure and diversity of reef communities through direct and indirect interactions. Then you have mesopredatory species, such as gray reef sharks, that are of intermediate body size and occupy high trophic levels, and they tend to be reef-associated, and their home range is less than 50 kilometers, and they exhibit fidelity to individual reefs. So that's actually really cool that we've seen a few reef sharks with site fidelity. The sicklefin lemon shark is a particularly famous one that really likes to be in specific coral reefs. You have smaller mesopredatory species like the epaulet shark, which crawls in and out of coral reefs. So this is really cool. And the common stingray, which are typically reef-associated, occupy lower trophic levels, and exhibit higher levels of prey selectivity. That's actually really cool. This is actually a really fun study, kind of talking about reef sharks in general. So I might kind of read some of the fun facts about different kinds of reef sharks. So, yes, Howard, great point. Removing predators leads to overpopulation of prey species. Yep, absolutely. Bibia, I have Hawaii phone. It runs great, but because it's old, there's no more updates, so I'll have to buy a new one. First, to pay for the new car. Luckily, not much payments left. Oh, hey, good luck. I guess not recently, but that's a really exciting accomplishment. So just I'm rooting for you, Bibia, because it's like, it's hard to do that, like paying off a car. So good luck. That's really exciting actually. So, but yeah, definitely want to second that comment about removing predators leads to overpopulation of prey species from Howard. Yes, so predator release, that's what it's called. So when that happens, it's not good for an ecosystem, and it can. I always think of this is really dumb, but this is such a dumb analogy. But if anybody likes trading card games, so think of Magic the Gathering or Pokemon or what is that? Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Masters, right? You think of your deck and you think of all the cards in your deck, and ideally you want a variety of cards because they will allow you to overcome a variety of obstacles. If you have a deck of just 3 or 4 different cards, you're not going to do well against most scenarios. You don't have the diversity of things that you need to handle the variety of scenarios, enemies, obstacles that come at you. So the richer your deck is, the more diverse it is, the better off you are against your opponents. Whereas the more narrowed your deck is, the more like smaller your deck is, the worse off you are. It's it's kind of nerdy analogy, but it's a great analogy for ecosystems because that's exactly how they function. If you have a diverse ecosystem with a lot of different animals, they can balance each other out and they can resist things better, like such as storms, or rising water temperature. No, I guess not rising water temperature because that's not a good example. But like, it's like, well, I guess rising water temperature. It's the more animals, the more plants, the more diverse your ecosystem is, the better chance it has at resisting. Actually, let's go back to storms because this is gonna be a good example for that. If you have a mangrove forest and you have a diversity of mangrove trees, and those trees shelter a diversity of fishes, and so on and so forth. You have a healthy ecosystem. Mangroves actually buffer winds, high winds from a storm. They actually protect coastline from hurricanes. Like, they're really great. And as they protect those coastlines, they protect everything within them, including like the little fishies and everything. If you remove that species from the ecosystem, you may have some other plants left, but if you don't have the mangroves, you're more vulnerable and less adapt to handle a sudden change like a storm, like a hurricane. And if your remaining plant life, like your very like linear single just less diverse ecosystem is subjected to these storms, it's more likely that the storm is going to rip out that plant and have a more negative impact on the fishes that don't have like the protection of the mangroves. I kind of like didn't say that very articulately, but I hope that made sense. Where it's like the more animals you have, the more plants you have. It's like the more cards you have in your deck, the more that they all interact with each other and help kind of like strengthen each other and help like support each other against obstacles. So when you remove animals, whether it's predator release like removing tiger sharks or stressing out. Actually, you know what? Water temperature is a good one. Sorry, I have Monday brain. Water temperature is a good one because if you raise your water temperature and you stress out corals, you ruin habitat for coral-dwelling fishes, and you there's less of a buffer against like effects like you have a less diverse, less rich ecosystem that provides less for the ecological community, but in turn provides less for humans actually, because if you don't have healthy habitats for fish to grow in, you're not going to have any fish to fish for, to harvest. So it's just everything's connected, basically, and more diversity is better ecologically. So, but yeah. Maybe fish have it harder, yet humans are still the ones complaining. I'm afraid we'll never learn, but someday we must do better conservation-wise or we go hungry too. And like 100% agree. And reading studies like this one and learning about areas like this marine protected area in South Africa is super cool. It's so nice to see that like there are some parts of the world that get it, that understand, and that are actually like creating that space for these animals to grow. And it's super cool. Bibia, nice C-Pen video. Real Edicarian like, we need more conservation zones. So yeah, it's super cool to see that from that marine protected area. So, but let's I'll keep reading on reef sharks. So we talked about kind of ecology, coral reef ecology, a little bit. So let's dive into some shark examples. So. Adult blacktip reef. So, for example, adult blacktip reef sharks utilize outer reef slopes and adjacent deeper waters for hunting and territorial behaviors, while juveniles and neonates are found in shallow coastal habitats. A similar pattern is evident with the blue-spotted ribbon-tail ray, where juveniles are found in mangle and seagrass habitats, while adults occupy deeper waters. Interesting. Most of our knowledge of the ecology and structure of sharks on coral reefs come from low and mid-latitude reefs, which present a differing suite of environmental characteristics to the cooler ecosystems at higher latitude reefs. Let's see. So high-latitude reefs have communities and ecological dynamics that differ from true coral ecosystems found at lower latitudes within the tropics because they have assemblages that have biogeographic overlap with numerous species at their range edges and strong seasonality in species composition. They can also host some endemic species with narrow geographical distributions. So what's really interesting is to think about that seasonality piece where you're going to have spring, summer, fall, and winter, where you have a warm period and then a cold period. And you think about like how does that affect the coral? And I'm actually thinking out loud. Like how does that affect the coral? How does it affect growth and production? You know, that's actually really interesting to think about from a coral perspective because we're used to coral being in tropical waters where there's a constant supply of sunlight, which the coral need, and the algae that live inside the coral need to photosynthesize. So it's actually really interesting to think about a temperate zone coral system, where that has an effect on dynamics. So interesting. Let's see. The high-latitude coral reefs in the southwest Indian Ocean lie in the path of the southerly flowing Mozambique and Agulhas currents, whereas in the southeast Indian Ocean, high-latitude coral reefs lie in the path of the Leeuwin current. These current systems carry warm water to the south from the tropics, facilitating the establishment of high-latitude coral reefs by transporting tropical fauna to higher latitudes. Okay, so the current, it's kind of like the Gulf Stream in a weird way. It's like the currents are transporting tropical animals into zones that they otherwise wouldn't be in. Over here, we sometimes get butterfly fish for that reason. We also get, what else do we get? Butterfly fish is the big one that we get. Lionfish, we do get them sometimes. Like Rhode Island, I think is the northern range limit for lionfish because of the Gulf Stream. So, what else? I feel like there's a big one that we get. We can get angelfish, but that's really, really rare. But it happens. Let's see. Past research has suggested that high-latitude coral reefs could offer a refuge from climate change for tropical species should the core of their native ranges become intolerable due to increases in water temperatures. Wow. I'm going to read that again, because that's... I'm a little shook by that. Past research has suggested that high-latitude coral reefs could offer a refuge from climate change for tropical species should the core of their native ranges become intolerable due to increases in water temperatures. So, let me know how you guys feel about that, because it's weird. It's like, I always think of like the Jurassic Park quote, like life will find a way, where on the one hand, I really enjoy that hope. Or kind of like how scientists have, rallied together to close the ozone layer. Like, there's like success stories or hope, as far as like, wow, that's a really interesting concept. I also feel a lot of dread because it's devastating to think about that coral reefs in famous places in the world, like the Great Barrier Reef. Famous or not, like coral reefs around the world are, bleaching, and, a lot of them are being wiped out. And it's really, really devastating to see that, as tropical coral reefs become more unstable, fish might be, or animals might be migrating to these high latitude coral reefs. And then the dread kind of intensifies because even if it's still warm water, it doesn't change solar intensity, right? So even if you have a high latitude coral reef that is in warmer water, it's going to be a different ecosystem than a tropical coral reef because you're going to have varying inputs from sunlight because of the seasons. So I don't know. On the one hand, I feel hope in the sense like it's an interesting point that these ecosystems could be a refuge for tropical species. On the other hand, it's a little scary because like there is a deeper problem, which is like the core range is being destroyed. So it's a very interesting, weird tug of emotions. So um, let's see. Catching up on comments. Coastal areas are often nurseries, so they're important for species to grow up. Sad is also where we humans fish the most, putting pressure on those species. Yeah, agreed. Life in large will continue to be, but I don't want to be the species which causes a big extinction. And I feel you as far as the Anthropocene, the human-induced extinction. It's really, it is something that is devastating, and it's weird. Like there is a map that I do want to pull up that I think would be very helpful, and I'm trying to find who has it. It was human, or hold on, marine ecoregions of the world, human population density filter. I don't know. There was this really good. I don't know what happened to it, and it's actually really sad that it went away. Maybe map. There was a marine ecoregions of the world map. There's one that I have shown on the stream before, but there's also a different one that actually I thought was better, and it's I don't know why. It was from Nature Conservancy, and I don't know why it disappeared. And it disappeared a long time ago, like maybe 5 to 10 years ago, which is really sad. I'll pull up the database and map. But what happened was it was really cool to see. It mapped out the marine ecoregions in the world relative to human population density. And one thing that was very comforting to know was that there were a lot of parts of the ocean that actually had low human population density on the coastline. Like they measured what the human population density was on the coastline. I probably will not be able to find it, but I can definitely report what I saw, at least on the east coast of the United States and Canada, which was extremely encouraging. Let's see. Yeah, it's a shame that they're not going to show it. So, okay. So, on the east coast of the United States, and I guess for kind of reference, this ecoregion right here, I've talked about it before, but this is my home ecoregion. This is the Virginia Marine ecoregion, and let's say this is on a scale from blue to red, blue being super quiet, super calm, red being super populated, super just crap thrown in the ocean, really bad. Let's say this zone is orange. So this is like an orange zone. This is a zone that has a lot of impact by humans. We do have quite a few major cities on this coast. We have New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington. These are all impacting this single coastline. It's not as bad as compared to other places because there's actually some quiet areas, like the eastern shore of Virginia is actually a protected area. Parts of the Outer Banks are also protected, and then I think there are some areas in New Jersey. I could be wrong about that. That do have some protection, but for sure the eastern shore of Virginia and North Carolina, they do have protected zones. So overall, like there's a lot of human pressure. There's a lot of driving here, traffic here, fishing here, crap here, but there's also quite a lot of space and quite a lot of protected areas. So this area is orange, right? Right here is the Gulf of Maine, Bay of Fundy. And this is actually, I believe it was a level, and I'm not making these numbers up. These were like, the last time I checked the old map, this is what they were. This is like a level teal, like a green or teal. So this is actually super low population density. So there's actually only Boston here. That's the only major city that's really affecting the zone. And the rest is this mix of like towns and also rocky coastlines, Acadia, Like there's actually an easement here. Like as far as like there's relief from human pressure. Then when you hop over to the Scotian Shelf right here, this is like super quiet. This is like solid blue. Like population density wise, this is really low impact. Gulf of St. Lawrence, also pretty low impact. Newfoundland and Labrador, really low impact. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4 ecoregions that actually are doing pretty alright compared to the rest of the world. So I say this in the sense that, I think it's very, as always, I feel like I do take this position a lot. It is very easy to get into like doom and gloom with conservation, and it is very valid because there are a lot of areas in the world that are definitely feeling intense impacts. However, there are some areas in the world that are actually relatively okay and seem to be, free or at least, less impacted than others for fishing pressure. One interesting kind of example is this part of the world. A lot of these areas are like solid red because there's just so much fishing activity in Eastern Asia. A lot of pollution in Eastern Asia. It depends on where you are ecoregion wise, but there is a lot going on here. But then when you kind of get further south into these areas, these are less impacted. Like these are, and look at the diversity of ecoregions here in Australia, New Zealand, Polynesia. There's a lot going on here, and these actually do have very low human impact compared to the other ecoregions. So, there's a lot that I think is still worthwhile as far as being hopeful for. And I think I kind of meandered a little bit from the original topic. And actually, you know what? Let me put. I think I've shared this map with everybody before, but let me put it in the chat so people can. Put it in the chat so people can explore this. So, oh man, there's a lot. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Did I didn't get rid of. Hold on. Let me make sure my connection. Okay, there we go. So, okay, let me catch up on the comments. I see one from Howard. It's okay, Bruce. I think our civilization's days are numbered. I don't know if Bruce made a comment, and if you did, Bruce, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't see it. So I hope I didn't accidentally click a button that mutes your comments. I didn't mean to. If I did, if you're still here, if you could leave a comment, that would be great. Just want to make sure I didn't miss anything that Howard is referencing. So I'll get back to that in a little bit. So sorry about that if I missed anything, Bruce. Australia, or Bibia666, Australia and one of the islands nearby do well conservation-wise, agreed. But global warming is a problem which needs a global solution, and things are bleak looking, in my opinion. And that's fair. That is fair. There was an interesting study, or mix of studies, that I think got traction in the early 10s, mid-10s. I have not heard a lot of development from it, so... Okay, cool. Thank you, Bibby. I didn't see Bruce's comment either. Okay, just want to make sure that I wasn't missing anything. I hope I didn't click anything, but thank you for confirming that, Bibia. But there was an interesting study about, or not study, an observation about the global carbon sink. And let me see if I can find it so that, because it sounds too good to be true, but global ocean carbon sink. Quantifying the ocean carbon sink. This is from NOAA. Okay, so this is awful image. Just showing this is calcium carbonate. And how ocean acidification has an effect on shells. However, by the way, if you collect seashells or have seashells, one fun thing you could do for the ocean is to throw those seashells back into the ocean, because those shells are made out of calcium carbonate. And if you throw them back in the ocean, they help enrich the water with calcium carbonate. No worries, you're not a bad person if you have shells. I myself have some shells collected from fun beach trips with my fiance. But, you know, if you have like an excess of shells, it's a fun thing to do to kind of help the ocean is to throw the shells back. So what's really cool, if you have shark teeth, totally fine, totally different. Like shark teeth are rocks, so they're fine. You can take them from the ocean, they're okay. But shells, they have something that animals can use, so just fun fact. But anyway, here we go. So I'm going to summarize this before reading this from Noah. So there is this phenomenon where, you know, we all know the story about global warming, and not the story about global warming, but the phenomenon of global warming. We know that, you know, ever since humans went into the Industrial Revolution, and even a little bit before them with like fires and stuff, ever since humans went into the Industrial Revolution, they unleashed a lot of fossil fuels, like burning coal, drilling for oil, burning oil, all this stuff. And all that releases carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. The carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. It raises the planet's temperature. And, you know, the more we've just done this with, like, you know, oil drilling and, like, cars and, you know, factories and, like, all this crap, you know, it's a man-made event, you know, so it's spewing all this carbon into the atmosphere. What is interesting is that there are some parts of the global ecosystem that are carbon traps, they're carbon sinks, meaning that, you know, they collect carbon from the atmosphere and store it. So the best one is plants, you know, trees, grass. Like, they breathe in carbon dioxide, you know, and they retain that carbon in their fibers, in their wood, in their, you know, structure. So plants are great, you know, where they're not only pretty and make us feel good, and that's true, they actually do make us feel good. Like, the Japanese had a practice of, I think it's called Shinrin-Roku or Shinrin-Yoku. It's forest bathing, where, you know, when you go into a forest and you just, like, take time to breathe in nature, you're actually breathing in chemicals that the plants are giving off. I think they're phenocanohalenes, but they are relaxing, they're soothing. Like plants are great. Like, everybody loves them. Like they're good for us. They give us clean air. They actually emit chemicals that relax us. They're great. You know, touch grass. So, but anyway, so plants store carbon, but there's another massive carbon sink in the ocean. And scientists have been, last time I checked, and I haven't really read up on this recently, but last time I checked, scientists have been trying to figure out what is this phenomenon where, you know, we should actually be emitting more carbon than we are measuring. And it's like, it's suggesting that, like, there's something that's trapping some carbon back, and we don't know exactly what it is in the ocean. And my kind of spitball guess is it might be phytoplankton, potentially, which is, like, when you think about it, phytoplankton are everywhere. And, you know, it might be them, but then again, I guess phytoplankton don't, well, no, because phytoplankton do photosynthesize, so, you know, you need carbon dioxide for that, so it could be them, you know, because they're everywhere, they're floating everywhere in the ocean. So I do wonder if it's them, you know. But yeah, the phenomenon is the ocean global carbon sink, or the global ocean carbon sink, where carbon is actually being trapped by the ocean, and in a weird way, the ocean is trying to help us, which is super cool. So let's see if we can find this. Here we go. A vital component of the Earth's atmosphere, carbon dioxide, is released through natural processes like the breath of animals and through human activities like burning fossil fuels. The ocean acts as a carbon sink and absorbs about 31% of the CO2 emissions released into the atmosphere, according to a study published by NOAA and international partners in Science. As atmospheric CO2 levels increase, so do the CO2 levels in the ocean. When CO2 is absorbed by seawater, a series of chemical reactions occur, causing seawater to become more acidic. This phenomenon is commonly referred to as ocean acidification. So this is where this picture is coming from, is as carbon is in the ocean, it's acidifying it. So this is kind of like, it's talking about the phenomenon, but it is kind of like reoriented as far as like how it affects ocean acidification, which is a real problem, and it is a real problem affecting coral reefs. but I wanted to bring it up because I never realized that the ocean can trap carbon. Or it's not that I never realized that. I realized it for like since college, but it's not commonly realized that the ocean and even rainforests trap carbon. I think a lot of the narrative focuses on the doom of climate change and like emission of greenhouse gases, and it just, there's this feeling of like, oh my gosh, it's too late, it can't be stopped. And I do like to remind people that this is a problem, but there are some assets that we have, like things that the planet has that help try to mitigate some of this. And rainforest, I mean any kind of forest, any kind of plant life, and the ocean, like the carbon sink, are components of that, which is pretty interesting. So, let's see. Oh, I gotcha. Howard, my bad. I meant Bibia. Yes. So, yeah. So what's interesting, I think what's kind of, I'm going to say something. I think we're probably all in agreement. I think we're all in agreement that life is going to be fine, and life is going to outlast humans. I think we're all in agreement of that. But I think what's up for debate is how long is that timeline? Is it going to be, I mean, how long is that timeline? I don't think, as alarming as everything has been, I personally don't think it's soon. I actually do think humans will. I kind of feel like humans are going to get into this weird asymptote of I don't know. This is now kind of like going off the rails a little bit. So I'll go back to humans, whale, or shark in a little bit. But it's just like I predict that. I mean, based on the best of my ability, I kind of feel like in the coming centuries, humans are going to reach a weird population asymptote where there's just like less. I don't know. There's less impetus to like. You can't keep growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, and we're already kind of doing it. Like, when you see Japan or you see like Western countries. Kind of doing that, and the United States is doing that now as well, where it's like there's less population replacement, and then coupled with AI and robotics and how that's going to impact things, I'm kind of curious about what's going to happen next, where centuries from now I can see a possible future in which we actually might see population decreasing, and perhaps may see environmental pressure decreasing, and then perhaps may see ecosystems kind of benefiting from that. I don't know. It's one possible future. It's like Doctor Strange. Like, there's all these possible futures, right? So that is one that I'm kind of curious about, where it's like, I wonder if in a weird way, the rise of AI, the rise of robotics, the declining population growth rates, I wonder if this is all going to weirdly translate into a more balanced world in a weird way. I don't know. So that's kind of like my wonder, is about like I wonder if that is a possibility. Yeah, and then just to address an earlier comment, Bibia, about the U.S. 100%, it is very scary. And I said this I think a month ago. But I just want to reemphasize, especially to non-Americans, because there's layers. There's federal government, state government, county government, private interest. There's layers and layers and layers, and on top of that, there's conservation policies that are kind of entrenched and are very hard to dismantle. So I say that as an encouragement in terms of like not to undermine any of the scariness, but just to kind of like point out that it is scary, but you can't dismantle everything that we've built conservation wise in one term. Like, you can't. It's not possible, and too much has happened. Like one kind of funny example is. you know, it's like the stupid alternate name of that I will not say of the Gulf of Mexico. It's a funny example because it's like, you know, how long is that really going to last because of all the, like the legalese related to that and the decades, the centuries actually, of books and research and articles and manuscripts, and like there's all this stuff that is talking about the Gulf of Mexico over and over and over again. I have a poster that I'm staring at right now, Sharks of the Atlantic and the Gulf of Mexico. It's so entrenched, you know, you can't brush it away. It's like it's a dumb thing to do, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I just want to say that, just like there's layers. It's not like one person with the stroke of a pen destroys everything. It's like, no, it's bad. It's really bad, but it takes a while, and you know, just there's. I think it's hard to dismantle some of what's in there. So I just want to say that as a little hopeful dose of encouragement, but. Yeah, so let's see. I'm just going to catch up on more comments. I'll turn on the thermostat. A warm extra sweater does keep me warm without carbon pollution. Yeah. Yes, Howard, I love this comment. I'm going to star this. All of nature is intertwined and interdependent. 100%. 100%. This is a cool, very difficult study to pull off, considering that rocks and animals like clams can trap carbon too. It's really cool. So... global warming is nothing new, as happened many times. Nature goes on. Yes, and I think that's a really great point, Howard. And it goes back to what we mentioned earlier, which is like life is going to be fine, and I think it's actually safe to say sharks are going to be fine. But what is going to be the casualties in the meantime, like as far as like, you know, because I think we very well could lose shark species, which is devastating. We could very well throw humans into extinction. That's possible, you know, but life, I think, is going to be fine no matter what, you know, because it's just so nuanced everywhere all the time. And it's just, I don't know, like life is going to outlast us. I think sharks definitely will outlast us. And the question is like, you know, where, you know, kind of knowing that, like, what do we want to do? Do we want to be in harmony with the environment, which is actually our best answer for, even just for our sake, is our best answer? Or do we want to like keep pillaging and pillaging and pillaging until it's unsustainable? And guess what? We don't benefit from it. We wipe ourselves out. You know, but life will endure, you know, like because there's so many manifestations of it. So, yeah. Dr. Jazz, I'm not sure we can return to normally that fast enough with the down Supreme Court things are, but I should not be a down. No, you're good. It's okay. It's okay to like, it's totally okay to, and I agree. And I think that's wise, Bibia, because I definitely agree. And I don't want to say that we're going to go back to normalcy like immediately. I definitely don't want to say that because I don't want to undermine the I don't want to undermine or kind of like sugarcoat the problems, because they are very, very real problems and devastating problems. But I think my position is, I just want to reemphasize that it's not just, and I think there's something really powerful in this. It's not like, it's not a kingdom, you know. It's not, and actually I don't think it's even that. It's not like, it's not the will of one body that's immediately going to change everything and stick. It's not, how do I say it? It's like there's just too many layers, and I find that comforting in a weird way. It's like there's too many layers that you can't dismantle. You cannot get all of them. You can't dismantle all of them. And it's kind of like I kind of feel like it's like when you cut off a limb, a tree, where devastating that really hurts the tree. It's really bad for the tree. You really shouldn't do that. but the roots of the tree are still there. The tree is still growing, and eventually, as time goes on, you may be able to regrow that limb or grow into a bigger tree in different directions. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like I guess my position is just hang on, and just oh, thank you, yeah, of course. I think my position is just hang on and just hang on and be truthful. Be truthful as far as preserve science, preserve knowledge, celebrate science, celebrate knowledge, keep affirming these communities, keep affirming, just the truth, just nature. It's the Gulf of Mexico. So just that there's an endurance there, so I think that's kind of my position with that. So Howard, I 100% agree, sharks have outlived most species. And when you think about kind of existential dread, yes, and I 100% agree with that. Love these comments. We must be resilient, 100%. When we think about existential dread, I find a weird comfort in the extinctions as far as what has happened in the world. The most horrifying one was the Permian extinction, which, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a supervolcano that erupted. It spewed clouds of ash all over the world, toxic gas all over the world. It was just, what was it? 80% of all life was wiped out. The Permian extinction was wild. It was worse than the K2 extinction, the dinosaur extinction. So, and the world went through that. The dinosaur extinction, the K2 extinction with the meteor crashing, the Great Dying, the K2 extinction with the meteor crashing. We've actually, let me see the mass extinction events. I'm really curious about this. Mass extinction. Okay, so mass extinction events are these in the timeline. So Earth has undergone a bunch of these. So this one is, I have to zoom out in order to see this correctly. So the late Ordovician mass extinction is the first of the big 5 major mass extinctions. The late Devonian mass extinction, also known as the Kellwasser event, was a mass extinction. I wonder if there's okay, here we go. I guess. Oh, here we go. Okay, I want to see what happened. Okay, I guess we'll do the big 5 mass extinctions, and then we'll hop back to humans, whale, or shark. But because I do think I find it sickly affirming to know that Earth has been through some wild times and has endured, and now we're here. We're all here right now. You, me, talking on this stream. Earth has survived these events. So, and I find that very encouraging in a weird way. So here we go. Let's start with the first one. The late Ordovician mass extinction. Two events occur that killed off 27% of all families, 57% of all genera, and 85% of all species. Let's see. The cause of mass extinction was global warming related to volcanism and anoxia. And not as considered earlier cooling and glaciation, however, it is at odds with numerous previous studies. Deposition of volcanic ashes was suggested to be the trigger for the reductions in atmospheric carbon dioxide, leading to glaciation and anoxia observed in the geological record. So, a lack of oxygen, a lot of volcanism, and global warming. Scary, scary. That's pretty bad. Let's do the late Devonian. The late Devonian mass extinction. Let's see. It annihilated coral reefs. This is, again, it's kind of weirdly comforting. Annihilated coral reefs, but we still live in a world of corals. Numerous tropical benthic animals such as jawless fish, which we still have. Trilobites, which we don't have. 70% of all species were wiped out. It doesn't really say what happened. The Permian-Triassic event, also known as the Great Dying. 81% of all marine species, 70% of terrestrial species. It ended the primacy of synapsids. The recovery of vertebrates took 30 million years. It created niches for archosaurs. Let's see. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction event, which I didn't even know there was one, to be honest. Let's see. Okay. The Cretaceous event. This is the famous one. Let's see. And then finally, the Holocene extinction. So this is the one, you've probably heard of this. This is a theory, a proposition for the sixth mass extinction. It says that a sixth mass extinction due to human activity is currently underway, the Holocene extinction. Extinctions occurred at over 1,000 times the background extinction rate since 1900. At the rate is increasing. The mass extinction is a result of human activity, an ecocide driven by population growth and overconsumption of the Earth's natural resources. 1 million out of an estimated 8 million species, 1 million plant and animal species are currently threatened of extinction. Now this, I'm curious what this means as far as, like, does it mean actual extinction, like endangered species, or does this apply broadly to any IUCN Red List status that is not least concern? I don't really know. In late 2021, Germany, WWF Germany suggested over 1 million species could go extinct within a decade. The largest mass extinction event since the end of the dinosaur age. At least 73 genera of animals have gone extinct since 1500. If humans had never existed, it would have taken 18,000 years for the same genera to have disappeared naturally, the report states. Extinction by severity. Does this include the Holocene? It does not. Let's see. The Permian extinction looks like it was the most severe. Oh. Yes, the Permian extinction was the most severe. Interesting. And then the Cretaceous extinction. So, yeah. So, you know, freaky, but in a weird way. Again, I draw comfort from it in a strange way, where it's like, Earth has been through a lot of stuff before us and has survived. And sharks, when you think about the extinctions, most of them are in the age of sharks. Sharks have survived. So pretty wild stuff to think about. So way to stay positive. Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. Yes, and actually, you know what? Really cool comment, Bibia. And I want to add to that as well. Sorry, I'll try to do my part and improve it at least to moving to a smaller, better insulated house, save some heating costs and benefits the environment. So one really cool thing is, I always thought that I would live in like a classic house, right? Because like we you know, like we're not in our final form, if you will, as far as where we want to live. So I always thought that I would live in a classic house, and what's interesting is that in some of the areas that we're looking in, we're kind of eyeing townhouses, because that seems to be really, you know, kind of more like just like that's what kind of the makeup of the area that we're living in is, more townhouses, right? And originally I always thought like, oh, it'd be cool to have like a house and a yard, and it still would be cool and everything. But then I started to realize, like, wait a minute, townhouses are actually kind of green. Like, they're actually pretty good for the environment because you're sharing a wall with somebody. So overall, you're actually kind of distributing, like you're kind of taking up less space, less resources, and you're actually kind of like helping your heating bill. You're drawing less power, less need to heat, because, you know, you're insulated by two other houses that are like, you know, heating and cooling appropriately. So like in a classic house, like a housey house, you have four walls exposed to the environment, so you're kind of heating relative or cooling relative to the four walls outside of you. But in a townhouse, you actually have two walls exposed to the environment, two walls that are already connected to a different house. And it's kind of interesting. Like that might be your comment just made me think about that's something that in my personal life might be doing. Which it's not exactly what I envisioned early, like when I was younger, but with age, I kind of understand what, that's actually might be a green choice. That might be a good thing for the environment, and I like it. I like that plan. So pretty interesting. So let's see. I thought I heard somewhere there were over 20 extinctions of the oceans. Interesting. Ooh, Howard, I rent a townhouse and it's awesome. Yay, that's so cool. My youngest brother had one, and it changed my mind on them. Where it's because the walls are super thick. Like, you do feel like you're in your own space. So it was a really cool vibe. So that's awesome. Yeah, cheers to townhouses. That's super cool. Townhouse. So I don't know if it's like a. So a townhouse is. Imagine a house smushed next to another house. I think the definition of a townhouse is a house that is bordered by either side by another house. So, I'm trying to think of it. I wonder if I can type one out. Let's see. Okay, I wonder if I could. I wonder if I could do this in a text diagram. Okay, this is actually really funny. I'm gonna see if I can pull this off. I'd be very impressed with myself. I think I can pull this off. Okay. Okay, so imagine what I just typed in the chat. These are houses. These boxes are houses, on your neighborhood street, right? Okay. This is a townhouse. So like the first thing I put in the chat, say each box is a house. So it's a house separated by a yard, and then there's another house separated by a yard. A townhouse is, you're sharing a wall with another house. So it's kind of like an apartment or a condo, except there's no one living above you. It's literally a house side by side sharing a wall with another house. So it's like in the second diagram that I made, and I think it's kind of cool. I made these. It's a yard, and then say a townhouse complex of 3 houses connected to each other, and then a yard again. So that's probably the best way to describe a townhouse. I learned that a townhouse, as you can see, I'm definitely been studying houses lately. A townhouse is, a townhouse is bordered by 2 houses, so it's just no one's living above you. A condo is someone's living above you, someone's living below you. It's kind of like an apartment that you own, and an apartment is something that you rent, I guess. So I don't know, but anyway, yeah, random fun fact. But sounds like a Dutch thing. Our houses are often in a row next to. Okay, yeah. So I guess it's like a row house, maybe. In a row next to on top of each other, both noisy neighbors is not cool, but for economical reasons, it's good. Gotcha. Yeah. So I think in the United States, townhouses vary, where some of them might be like that. Some of them, like my brother's old townhouse, was the walls were super thick, so it like solid brick. So there was some noise insulation, which was good. But yeah. So, but let's see. By the way, if anybody has a suggestion for a shark next week, please leave a comment in the chat, and we'll cover it next week. And if we need suggestions. We have a couple cool options. I think it's been a while since we've done a kind of angel shark, so I can pull one up for next week. But let's bring humans whaler shark home. I'll go ahead and fast forward in this study, since we've seen all the diagrams of the species. So we'll go ahead and fast forward to the ecology of this shark according to his coral reef study. So here we go. Let's see. Okay. So they classified different kinds of sharks in different kinds of trophic categories. So, high trophic position was composed of large-bodied apex predators, the bull shark, the dusky shark, the tiger shark, and the scalloped hammerhead shark. Medium trophic position comprised of medium-bodied species, the silver-tip shark, occupying relatively high trophic positions, the silver-tip shark, the gray reef shark, the African black spot shark, so also known as humans whaler shark, so this is in the mid position class, black-tip shark, snaggletooth shark, tawny nurse shark, and the round ribbon-tail ray. So, okay. And then finally, and the white-tip reef shark. Finally, low trophic position comprised of small-bodied species occupying relatively lower trophic positions. So the gray-spotted guitarfish, spotted eagle ray, brown stingray, honeycomb stingray, short-finned devil ray, pink whip ray, blue-spotted ribbon-tail ray. So lots of rays. I want to see if there's any sharks. The milk shark. I guess that's it. The milk shark? Yeah, the milk shark. So, okay. So humans whaler shark is a mid-sized species. Let's see. It looks like the gray reef shark was the most abundant, followed by the humans whaler shark, also known as the African black spot shark. So that's actually really cool to see that the abundance is kind of high for the species in this area. Okay. We found evidence to support higher average abundances for some sharks, such as the gray reef shark, the African black spot shark, also known as human whalers, in all three management zones of Isimengaliso, compared to other marine protected areas. That's actually really cool. Humans whaler shark is more abundant in summer, whereas abundance of white-spotted wedfish was higher during winter. So, I think there was another study that said that humans whaler shark was a summertime species, and that you saw a lot more females than males. So that's actually really cool. Let's see if there's any graphs of interest. Okay. I wish there was photographs, and unfortunately there's not, so we'll kind of keep looking. Let's see. New species of whaler shark. Just want to zoom in to any of the cool stuff. Just want to make sure I don't miss anything. It's a rare species, so... Okay, I think what we'll do is we'll read this one abstract, and then I think we'll be done for tonight. So, and there's a humans whaler shark in this photograph right here. But first, let me catch up on the comments. Oh, cool, Howard. The community I'm in is really cool. Awesome, awesome. That's the best as far as like I really wanted. I hope I can get that someday where it's like, I really like the idea of being like plugged in with like cool neighbors. So that's really really cool. Let's see. I'll try to leave some suggestions in the comment section after the stream ends. And Snaggletooth Shark will be my suggestion for next week, but it's been done. I thought Yes, and thank you, Howard. It has been. Thanks for suggesting it. Let's see. Let's pull up some angel sharks. I want to see if there's a really cool one that we haven't covered yet. So, perhaps a sawback angel shark? That one actually might be really exciting. Because I don't think we did that one. And that one is actually a very good conservation species. Because I think it's in need of a lot of attention. Let's see. Do I have any? I don't know if I even have an angel shark playlist. Sadly. Okay, I should remedy that. I think we should probably, if it sounds good to everybody, sawback angel shark might be really cool, because that one I'm pretty sure is critically endangered, and there might be a lot of footage on it because it's a high focus species. So that's Squatina aculeata. And it's supposed to be like a really beautiful shark too. So just like this really cool like rusty pattern of like white rosettes. So and angel sharks are just awesome. So awesome. Howard's cool with it. So yeah, if it sounds cool, yeah, Bibia as well. Sawback angel shark. Okay, awesome. Thumbs up for that. So yeah, next week we'll do the sawback angel shark. Awesome. All right, I think tonight we'll end just with this abstract, and then we'll wrap up. So here we go. Understanding how environmental drivers influence shark and ray spatial and temporal patterns can provide crucial knowledge for their evidence-based protections and long-term monitoring. However, information on which drivers' variation are most important for lazarbank communities on soft sediments is limited. Using the same technology, which is really cool. I wish there was footage of this, but using baited remote underwater stereo video systems, Stereo-BRUVs, we investigated how seasonal environmental variables affected the lazarbanks of Semengaliso Wetland Park Marine Protected Area in South Africa. In total, 11 species were identified from 48 sites between 12 meters and 33 meters water depth in the sandy habitat. While species richness was similar across seasons, a total abundance of lazarbanks was recorded was higher in winter than in summer. It's pretty interesting. There's a really cool, I forget what study it is, but there's a really cool biodiversity map that shows that sharks are most biodiverse in temperate zones as opposed to tropical zones. And I find that really fascinating that you would think it wouldn't be like that. But there's something about temperate zones. And I think it's probably the fact that a lot of sharks are very migratory. And temperate zones are seasonal. And sharks are seasonally migratory. I think that's probably why they're more biodiverse. But it's interesting that colder water results in higher abundance of lazarbanks than warmer water in this example. So the species assemblage composition varied significantly between seasons, with the human's whaler shark prevalent in summer and the critically endangered white-spotted wedgefish more abundant during the winter. Most species were sighted throughout the entire depth range, but rays were more common in shallow waters, while the human's whaler shark were more common in the deeper depth zone of the study, which might kind of explain the larger eyes on the species, but I'm not sure. This research provides baseline information about this previously unexplored sandy habitat for lazarbanks and a site of regional and global significance. Records of species of conservation concern in the sampling area highlight the importance of protecting sand environments within a marine protected area. So, awesome. So I'm going to zoom in on our friend, the human's whaler shark. There we go. I want to make sure I get a good shot of him. Awesome. And I think with that... Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, can you move the screen to the left a little bit? I cannot read the right side of the text if possible. Sorry, Bibia, I didn't see that comment. Oh, and also, Squatina is flat ray-like genus, right? Yes. So squat, kind of like squash, like a pancake. But yes, Squatina is the angel sharks. Let me see if I can... And I apologize. This is the dumb eCam update, so the minute they send a new one, I'm going to click on it. And actually, you know what, Bibi? Let me put this study in the chat if you want to read it, because it is really cool. It's the same marine protected area that we were talking about, and clearly they do a lot of good work, and it's really encouraging to see that. This species was data deficient in IUCN Red List, so the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. The official position is we don't know much about it, and the shark that it was mistaken for is endangered. So that was showing us like, oh wow, this shark might not be doing well. But it was really cool to see that the research of this marine protected area in South Africa showed that it's actually might be okay. Like the human's whaler shark might actually have a bright future, or like it just might be all right. Given the fact that it's very abundant in a protected area, and we'll have to see. But I predict that, kind of based on this study, that the IUCN Red List status will probably be updated, and it may become a least concerned or at least a near threatened species. So we'll see what happens with Human's whaler shark. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that for a brand new species that's about a decade old, as far as our knowledge of it and the research on it, we've actually made a lot of progress, and there's a lot more than a lot of the rare species we've talked about on this channel before. So that's a really cool. I think it's a really cool positive note, really, to see that a new shark species might actually be doing okay. So it's not often the case, but it's really cool to see that. So thank you guys so much for watching. This was a really fun episode. I really appreciate our conversation towards the latter half of it. And then also, again, really appreciate learning more about this marine protected area in South Africa and Human's whaler shark, and seeing that it's okay. For now, it seems pretty okay. So, but I really appreciate our conversations as always. I hope you all have a great rest of your week. And tune in next week. We should have more footage with the sawback angel shark. It's a pretty charismatic conservation species, so I'm very excited to learn more about it. And it's nice to go back to a brand new order and see what's going on with the Squatini forms. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your week and have a great night. And thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you being here and sharing the space with you. Just cheers, guys. Have a great week. Bye.